Tonight, holding on, but for how long? Malcolm Turnbull narrowly survives a leadership challenge. Caught on camera, 2 patrol cars smashed during a high-speed chase through the northern suburbs. Schoolyard violence, girls filmed fighting at one of Adelaide's proudest colleges. A Mum and Joey's heartwarming reunion, the Adelaide rescuers who went to extraordinary lengths to make it happen. And a race against the clock as the Bend gears up for its first major supercar event.
7 News with John Riddell.
Good evening. Malcolm Turnbull's position as Prime Minister appears weakened tonight after he called a surprise Liberal leadership spill and Peter Dutton took a shot at the top job. Mr Turnbull survived the party room vote, but only just, with 48 votes to 35. Peter Dutton has now quit as a minister, but hasn't ruled out a second leadership challenge.
One of these two is a dead man walking. Peter Dutton defeated but smiling, knowing he could be Prime Minister within days. Malcolm Turnbull returning to his office, victorious but wounded, maybe fatally.
Good result, PM?
A contest his supporters said wouldn't happen.
I think the overwhelming leadership speculation is just that, speculation.
But as Mr Turnbull arrived at Parliament, so did his opponent, working the phone. And Julie Bishop working hers, walking with Mr Turnbull into the Liberal Party room. His strategy, surprise, pulling on a snap spill and surviving.
By a margin of 48 votes to 35.
This was an overwhelming vote of support for the Prime Minister.
Hardly. It is the best result for a first-time challenger in 40 years, making a second challenge a certainty.
I don't bear any grudge against Peter Dutton for having stood up and challenged me today, and I invited him, in fact, to continue in his position.
And he declined, standing down from his cabinet role in Home Affairs and walking out to introduce himself to those voters who've only seen him as that serious guy with the grimace.
Nice to be in front of the cameras where I can smile.
Thanking his colleagues for their support.
I believe that I had the best prospect of leading the Liberal Party to success at the next election.
And making clear he still thinks he does.
Will you challenge the Prime Minister again?
I will work every day to make sure that the coalition is elected at the next election.
That is not a no. Malcolm Turnbull appearing stoic, contained, confident, but knowing he's vulnerable.
And unity is absolutely critical.
And he's not getting it. Tony Abbott immediately firing off a statement. Unity has to be created and loyalty has to be earned. They can't just be demanded. Malcolm Turnbull's already planning more policy concessions, including dumping plans to axe the energy supplement for pensioners. I'm told Peter Dutton's supporters are already working on a second challenge, confident they will get the 7 votes needed to make him Prime Minister, possibly before the end of the week. Still working his phone during question time and joking with colleagues as Labor created merry hell.
Who is the Prime Minister?
How can the Prime Minister claim to have any mandate to govern this country?
The mandate our government has came from the 2016 election. Remember that?
Does the Turnbull government finish?
Make sure you don't fall. Just one vote.
The question, though, is who will win the next one?
And a political editor, Mark Riley now. Mark, is Malcolm Turnbull a dead man walking as the Prime Minister?
Well, John, he certainly looks like one. This is without doubt the fight of his political life, and history and the odds are heavily against him. The Liberal Conservatives are orchestrating a guerrilla campaign to wrest back control from the moderates with the help of some of the moderates, it must be said. Former Turnbull man James McGrath and Conservative Michael Sukkar have just offered their resignations from the ministry. I think we'll see more resignations over coming days and public demands for sharp policy changes in health, education and immigration, all hacking away at Malcolm Turnbull until they drag him down in a second spill. It could be this week, more likely next month, but it will happen. There's a possibility always of a third candidate emerging, Julie Bishop or Scott Morrison perhaps, but today the most likely outcome is that Peter Dutton will emerge from this as our next Prime Minister. John.
Mark Riley, thank you. There are fears South Australia will be a big loser if Malcolm Turnbull is forced to give up his leadership. Some of his most influential foot soldiers hail from here, and Labor claims a new PM could put future projects at risk.
Two names which roll off the tongue. Christopher Pines, a leading arm twister, and Simon Birmingham also has the current PM's ear. SA's a big player in defence, education and the River Murray. Koshy also knew the power play during this Sunrise clash today.
Grow a pair. You know who's pushing for this.
Well, David, maybe you know who they are too. Perhaps you should grow a pair.
Stephen Marshall's a Pine protege. He's also thick as thieves with Team Turnbull. All have claimed credit for our defence project successes. If that influence weakens under a new leader, Labor says alarm bells should ring.
I'd be very concerned because this Premier is very close to Prime Minister Turnbull, and Mr Turnbull's leadership's on life support.
Can't see how that's relevant. We're a separate government from the federal government.
The Premier's currently holidaying in Europe with his children. Now, issues such as a national energy guarantee, which he supported, are in tatters. With ASC job losses and our pitch for a future space industry, Labor says we can't afford to drop off Canberra's radar. Mike Smithson, 7 News.
Workers had to jump to safety during a wild police chase in the northern suburbs. At the height of the drama, 2 patrol cars were smashed and video shows officers in hot pursuit of the wanted driver.
Police in hot pursuit of a stolen Holden sedan in Smithfield Plains.
Someone getting chased by 4 or 5 cop cars just coming this way, and yeah, they went to the No 3 road there, and he couldn't go anywhere, so he had to come back out. And then one of the cop cars smashed into him.
The car mounted the curb, 2 concreters right in his path.
We were at the back of the truck here, just getting tools off the truck. We're 5 minutes early, we were screening, so probably would have collected us, you know.
Getting bogged didn't stop him either.
So he stopped in the concrete and then he jumped out and then ran that way. He said sorry for, nearly hitting us.
The wanted man didn't get very far. This petrol station is only about 200 metres from where he bogged the car. Police were hot on his tail and quick to arrest him in the car park. Terrified witnesses watched the drama unfold.
It was scary but exciting at the same time. Like, not exciting, like in a good way, but it was intense. I'd never seen anything like it before.
2 police cars were damaged during the pursuit. The man will appear in court tomorrow. Deanna Williams, 7 News.
Shocking pictures have emerged of a wild school brawl at a Western Suburbs Catholic college. Jessica Adamson joins us. And Jess, what do we know?
John, the video emerged late this afternoon. 7 News understands it shows 2 current Year 11 girls from St Michael's College fighting on school grounds at lunchtime while a crowd of students watches on, some of them cheering and at least one filming. Several punches are thrown before staff and one of the girls' boyfriends rush in to break up the pair.
Oh, that bro. Holy.
Now, the school couldn't be contacted for comment, but students say the 2 girls involved didn't take part in lessons this afternoon. It's the latest in a string of violent school incidents in recent weeks, including 2 stabbings at Renmark High School and St Dominic's. Police say they're yet to receive any reports about today's brawl. John.
Thanks, Jess. An amateur footballer left with a shattered jaw following a sickening on-field incident has reported the matter to police. The player responsible is facing a lifetime ban, and one sporting legend says that's exactly what he deserves.
An elbow to the face, a knee to the head. These are the on-field acts that have left the local footy world up in arms.
This is football. This is our great code, and you got buffheads like that running around, elbowing, kneeing and kicking. The absolute disgrace.
This blow left Trinity Old Scholars player Carl Toisner with a badly broken jaw. He'll have major surgery tomorrow.
The players responsible, the authorities should throw the book at them. We don't want them in the game of footy. That's not a good image for our code.
Salisbury West captain Adam Jones was involved in 4 dangerous clashes on Saturday. KG says violence is a growing problem in amateur footy, but it starts at the top.
The AFL have kept saying, we're strong, we don't want to see this as part of the game. Well then, firing the players is not strong enough. That's just pussyfooting around.
Mr Toisner reported the incident to police today after the Commissioner weighed in this morning.
If an assault happens off the play, then we have a right to examine that in terms of whether it constitutes a criminal offence.
Jones could be banned for life, while his team could be booted from the finals. Tim Yateman, 7 News.
An elderly woman's fighting for life after her car ploughed into 5 parked vehicles at Marsden. Witnesses say they ran for their lives as the out-of-control Magna mounted the footpath and slammed into a tree and fence.
On a quiet street in Marsden, a scene of utter chaos. A 6-car smash and an elderly driver found unconscious behind the wheel.
We saw her just take off at speed, hitting all these cars along the way, and end up on the footpath.
Like a dodgem car, just completely, pushing all the cars over, one after the other.
5 in total, but incredibly, no pedestrians were hit, even when the 90-year-old's Magna mounted the footpath and careered into a tree.
And I just come round the side and I jumped back because I thought the car was going to come in towards me.
It's believed the driver suffered a medical episode. She's now in a critical condition in hospital. Her 95-year-old passenger has minor injuries.
That's still terrible. I hope she's okay.
Residents say while it might not have made a difference today, the street is about to undergo a parking overhaul. The number of on-street parks will be halved after complaints it's far too narrow.
We just have to say how lucky we are, how lucky I am.
Elspeth Hussey, 7 News.
Police are hunting an arsonist who tried to set fire to a speed camera at West Beach. He was spotted by a passing motorist pouring petrol on the base of the snapper at the intersection of Tapley's Hill Road and Ingerson Street. He then set it alight, causing minor damage to the pole. Tailem Bend locals are gearing up for a historic weekend. The new motorsport park will host its first major supercar race on Saturday, but there's still plenty of work to be done before the masses roll into town.
No longer a sleepy railway town, everyone here's revving up to go.
We've gone all out, love the V8s, love to support it.
We've been booked out since it was announced 12 months ago.
But by the track, they're up against the clock to ensure everything's ready for Saturday. More than 30,000 will pack the new Bend Motorsport Park for round 11 of the Supercars Championship. It's the first major race to be held at the facility.
A bit of nervousness and excitement. We all want to be very proud of the product we are showcasing to the world.
With 18 corners, there's a twist and turn to keep spectators and even the most experienced drivers on the edge of their seats.
And the commentary team will have a bit of excitement occasionally because there'll be passes where you're probably not expecting it to happen.
340,000 people are expected to visit the Bend each year, injecting millions into this little town's economy. It's given many confidence to reinvest in the area. Amy Chinsami will open her second cafe on Sunday, while publican Mark Jericho has an $800,000 reno in the pipeline.
It's been a real shot in the arm, not just for us, but for pretty much every business in town.
Gertie Sperling, 7 News.
Today marked the end of an era for Footy Park's iconic light towers. Demolition began on the Westlake structures this morning.
It's quite a technical operation. The light tower's over 50 metres tall with the frame and the lights themselves weighing over 15 tonnes.
All 4 towers will be dismantled by the end of the week. The remaining grandstands will be demolished over the next 8 months, leaving just the tavern and Crows training facilities. 2 young siblings have saved their father's life by calling 000 just in the nick of time. The 11 and 9-year-olds were the only ones home when their dad suffered a medical emergency.
Ambulance emergency.
1 minute, Emma and Josh were watching their dad cook their dinner. Next thing, he collapsed on the kitchen floor, unconscious, and they sprang into action.
My dad just started shaking and stuff, and then he fell to the ground.
Paramedics were on the way, but for a few heart-stopping minutes, it was all up to Emma and Josh.
I'm just really scared.
Colin was having a seizure.
The guy on the end of the phone told me what to do. And he said to make sure he stays lying down.
Dad, stay down, stay down. Dad, stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. He's not listening. Dad, lay on your back. Dad, lay on your back.
When paramedics arrived, they quickly worked out Emma and Josh had done everything right, exactly what the 000 operator had asked. They know it could have turned out so much worse.
It's always a concern for us, and we don't know why they're having another seizure or why Cole was having a seizure that day.
No one ever wants their kids to ever have to do it, but it's great to know that they're so switched on that they're able to do it.
Evan Batten, 7 News.
Well done, kids. If you're down on your luck but have an idea to make it big, there's a program that could help. Ambitious entrepreneurs are getting their hands on interest-free loans to help kickstart a business.
Rachel DeCoe's created a reality as extraordinary as the video game she loves after a tough test.
Major depression, and I hit rock bottom.
She's now reinvented herself as Ruby LaRouge, the video gamer financed by her fans.
I'm ridiculous.
Her business model?
I'm funny, I make them laugh, I make their day more enjoyable.
She started with a few thousand interest-free dollars and some good mentoring from SA's Good Shepherd microfinance program. It supported 40 applicants in its first year, many unemployed, who had a range of business ideas.
So far, 70% of participants have either started to earn an income or found employment. Now, these are people who have been doing it tough.
It's now going national. Rachel's ambitions attracting sponsors and subscriptions, like Swedish game changer PewDiePie, who makes millions.
People of a certain generation may well ask, why would you watch somebody else embedded in the video game they're playing and then donate money to them?
I'm doing my dream.
Tim Noonan, 7 News.
There's been a slight turnaround in the Australian automotive industry, with Holden set to create around 150 jobs in Victoria. General Motors is doubling its engineering workforce to focus on the development of new electric and hydrogen vehicles. It comes less than a year after Holden closed its assembly line here in Elizabeth. Pope Francis has publicly conceded the Catholic Church failed young abuse victims, abandoned them and showed them little regard for their ruined lives. Australian survivors say his words are meaningless without an acknowledgement from perpetrators here.
It wasn't on camera and it wasn't during Mass, but today an acknowledgement from the Pope to victims of church abuse. A written statement that reads, "We showed no care for the little ones. We abandoned them. Looking back to the past, no effort to beg pardon and to seek to repair the harm done will ever be sufficient." The words were triggered by a report detailing sickening attacks by 300 priests over 70 years in America. More than 1,000 children were abused. Bishops covered up the details. Adelaide's former Archbishop Philip Wilson is appealing a 12-month home detention sentence for concealing abuse.
Will you say sorry for what you've done, please?
He is the highest-ranked Catholic in the world to be convicted. He only had silence leaving court last week.
One word of contrition, Philip.
Peter Gogarty says today's statement from the Pope is equally meaningless.
What he needs to say is to all of his bishops, all of his cardinals, you get to the nearest police station and you tell the authorities what you know about this scandal.
Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
One of the most vocal activists in the Me Too movement has been accused of sexual assault. Italian actress Asia Argento was one of the first women to accuse Harvey Weinstein of rape. Now police in California are investigating allegations she assaulted an underage male co-star 5 years ago. It's alleged he was paid more than $300,000 to stay quiet. Argento hasn't commented on the allegations. Channel 7's parent company, 7 West Media, is back in the black, announcing a profit around $135 million. It's a big turnaround after last year's loss, with some media analysts saying it now makes a merger with News Limited inevitable.
After the Winter Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, and then the crowning announcement...
7, Australia's new home of cricket.
Fair to say, it has been a sports-led recovery. 7 turning last year's $750 million loss into a modest $135 million profit.
We have a strategy. We're focused on that core. And that's what we're executing.
Today's results also reveal a drop in the level of debt attached to the 7 network, with the CEO saying that leaves potential for a possible merger. That would mean another massive shake-up for the media landscape.
Now, we've got a lot more flexibility with our balance sheet, so the answer to that question is, I think, yes.
Would it be with Rupert Murdoch's News Limited?
You don't need a corporate transaction for that to go forward.
Analysts disagree, saying if it can get through competition watchdog the ACCC, it's inevitable.
Ultimately, News Corp will probably take over 7 West Media, or could possibly be a vice versa.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
Wildlife rescuers have gone to extraordinary lengths to reunite a baby koala with its mum. They waited by a tree for 3 days to bring the family together again, capturing the heartwarming moment on video.
Back together at last.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The joey was found freezing and alone at the bottom of a tree. Rescuers Wayne and Lynette Parsons took her in, bottle feeding her to make sure she didn't lose weight.
And I had a soft teddy bear tied to the tree so she could lay on the back, just like replicate Mum.
Suspecting Mum would return, the couple took it in turns to wait by the tree. After 3 days, she did.
That's priceless. That is priceless. Look at you, back with Mum. Baby was very keen to get back with Mum. You could just tell. The love was there.
After 2 nights together in care, the pair are now ready to be released back into the wild. They'll be taken to a local golf course tonight.
Then we go to the next one and save another one.
It's something we won't forget, and if it ever happens again, we'll do it again. Try and find Mum.
And now this little Joey is finally back with Mum. She's certainly holding on tight.
That's it. You hang on. Good girl.
Lauren Rose, 7 News.
Well done to them. Time
Very
for sport
cute,
now,
Jack.
Bruce, and they're a lot cuter than you are.
Yes.
You shadowed Charlie Dixon, spoken about his season-ending injury. We all saw it on the day.
Jack, didn't end well for Charlie, didn't end well for Port Adelaide. He certainly could have been used by Port Adelaide last weekend.
Yes.
A target somewhere at forward, but I'm not sure if he could have kicked the 8 goals in the last quarter. That might have been a problem. But anyway, coming up, we'll hear from the big fella who reveals how he'll get through his challenging recovery. NBA bound, Mitch Creek confident he can make his mark in the Big Apple ahead of his trial with the Brooklyn Nets. And on his 32nd birthday, Usain Bolt has just one wish as his trial starts with the Mariners.
And still to come on the road, but going nowhere, a delivery driver's new car nightmare.
Welcome back. Charlie Dixon has opened up about his season-ending leg injury, admitting it could have been much more serious. The key forward says he was heartbroken when told he'd need surgery and revealed when he's hoping to be back on the track.
On crutches and still in a moon boot, this is far from how Dixon pictured the end of the 2018 season.
Pretty emotional, mate, to be honest. I mean, I'm an emotional human, and to know that my season was done was pretty heartbreaking. And, yeah, of course, it's going to be emotional. I'm a competitor. I want to be out there playing, and I can't. But I've got to deal with that and look to next year and come back bigger and stronger.
An open and honest Dixon knew he was in trouble straight away after his awkward landing. He had 3 screws put into his leg last week.
I heard a fairly significant crack. I actually thought, like, when I was trying to grab my leg, pull it out from underneath me, I thought it was going to be facing the other way. I was relieved from the photo that it was only my ankle and leg, where I should have done my knee.
The hardest part now is winning the mental battle during a long recovery process, in which he'll also get time to rest his troublesome left knee. But Dixon believes the long layoff won't affect him in 2019.
Probably 4 or 5 weeks left in the boot and crutches, which I'm pumped about. But and then I'd say it'd be just a slow process from there, and 10 weeks hopefully be maybe jogging around. I'm getting old now, so I think I can have 8 weeks pre-season and have a really good year, and that's what I had last year. The year before, and had one of my best seasons.
He's hoping to be fully up and running, pain-free by Christmas, the perfect present. Theodoropoulos, 7 News.
Paul Seedsman's contract talks have hit a sticking point, with the rejuvenated midfielder wanting a longer-term deal than is currently being offered. Daniel Talia and Brodie Smith are unlikely to tackle the Blues on Saturday. Essendon won't offer Brendan Goddard a contract for 2019, and Jared Waite will retire after 244 games with the Roos and Blues. Adelaide 36ers star Mitch Creek has spoken exclusively to 7 News about his NBA dream. With the Brooklyn Nets today confirming the deal, Creek has broken his silence about the contract dispute with the 36ers, which almost derailed his plans.
Mitch Creek starts training in New York with the Brooklyn Nets in 2 weeks, and between now and then he'll be doing everything he can to be at his best.
At the moment, I've got a long month ahead of me to try and go against the best in the world, and I know I'm going to do everything I can to give myself the best opportunity.
While Creek's contract with the Nets does not guarantee him an NBA role, he's confident he will secure a spot.
At the moment, I go over and train with the full NBA team. We basically have a training camp for a month. From there, that'll kind of stipulate, how much of a step forward I'm going to take.
Mitch Creek was reluctant to dwell on the contract dramas with the 36ers, preferring to remember his time here with the club for the positives.
I don't know if I can say it, but shit happens, and it did. And now that I've moved past that, the team supports me. I'm full support of the team this year and where they're going. And, right now my biggest focus is, trying to get over that NBA hurdle and try and make my dream reality.
In more good news for the 36ers, star forward Daniel Johnson, along with Anthony Drimmick and fellow shooting guard Nathan Sobey, were today named in the Boomers team for next month's World Cup qualifier against Qatar. John Casey, 7 News.
Olympic sprint legend Usain Bolt completed his first training session with the Central Coast Mariners today. On his 32nd birthday, Bolt was watched on by a huge media contingent as he attempts to secure an A-League contract.
But I want to be treated as one of the boys. I don't want to be treated like I'm the world's fastest man, you know what I mean? I want to be treated as a footballer because that's what I want to be.
If all goes to plan, his first friendly for the Mariners will be on Friday week against a local 11. Liverpool has continued its impressive start to the Premier League season, but not without controversy. Mo Salah was accused of diving.
He's going to do so here.
Virat Kohli has put India in a winning position in the third test against England. His second ton of the tour allowed the tourists to declare at 7 for 352. With 2 days to play, England needs a world record target of 521 to win and wrap up the series. And a baseball dad couldn't contain himself while watching his son hit a game-tying home run in the Little League World Series.
And listen to this crowd. Go crazy. Look at Dad. Get down there, Dad. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
The proud dad eventually calmed down, although he might be on the end of a stern talking to from his son after his reaction went viral. Jack, great to see you. I love going viral. It's great watching your kids play sport. There's one rule. Never embarrass them.
Never do that.
Never embarrass them.
I think you might have a couple of times with the girls playing netball.
Very quiet the car on the way home.
I don't know about that. To the day in finance, and the share market finished lower with miners and banks leading the way into the red. Shares in Westpac were down more than 2%, with a similar fall for BHP Billiton. Our dollar's buying 73 US cents, 63 euro cents and $1.10 New Zealand. Still to come this hour, the blue-collar suburb named the best place to invest in the country. Are you sitting on a real estate goldmine? The long road ahead for a South Aussie teen with cerebral palsy, why he's an inspiration to others. Plus, Back to the Future, the old teaching method helping preschoolers learn new skills.
And warm and sunny tomorrow, then a bit of rain's on the way this week. I'll have all the details coming up next.
It's we're in the commercial break on 7 News. Well, quick, show the code words. Listen to us. Ruined It's tomorrow morning on Triple M to Win.
It's the way many of us began our reading and writing journey, sounding out segments of words and then joining the sounds. That's where I went wrong. Now, a new study's found phonics lessons help preschoolers learn to read better and faster, but the approach does have its critics.
Teaching 4-year-olds to read by phonics to identify separate sounds of words, then blend them, gives them the jump on literacy skills.
Tell me what sound the first letter makes, Jacob. And what sound does this letter make? Early, our phonics or letter sound knowledge are two of the best predictors of how our children will learn to read and write when they go into school.
The study found preschoolers taught phonics for 13.5 hours performed 2.5 times better at converting sounds into letters compared to children on the standard preschool program.
J's for juice, juice.
The federal government is now pushing for a phonics check for all Year 1 students. But some education academics and preschool teachers don't agree with this approach.
Phonics is very important, but it shouldn't happen in isolation. It needs to be embedded into day-to-day experience, whether it's a book that's being read or an activity that's incorporated.
Helen Wellings, 7 News.
There you go, kids, get amongst the phonics. Time for the weather now, and Amelia, tomorrow's looking warm and sunny, hurrah.
John, we've got a bit of midweek warmth on the cards, and it even felt a little spring-like this afternoon as well. Right now, it's 12 degrees in the city, and our top was 15.6 today. Now, that's close to average for this time of year. So it was our low of 7.9. But there were some very chilly temperatures inland this morning, down to minus 3.4 degrees at Yunta. It was minus 2.5 in Clare, with the odd light shower lingering about southern coast this morning. morning. Tomorrow, a low pressure system is expected to deepen to the south, sending a front across the state as well. That system will then track north, reaching New South Wales by the weekend. But dry in Sydney for now, 18's the forecast top. In fact, it's looking fine down the east coast, 15 for Melbourne. Back home, it's a bit of a mixed bag. That front's likely to whip up winds in the west before delivering showers or even rain over the west coast, Eyre Peninsula and about the northwest pastoral district too, with the wet weather tipped to reach areas west of the Flinders down to Robe at night. So staying dry in Mount Gambier, 17's the forecast top there, up to 22 in Renmark and Murray Bridge, 19 in Victor Harbour and Nuriutpa, 20 with rain developing in Kadina, 25 in Port Augusta, 24 in Whyalla and 19 in Port Lincoln, with strong winds expected about western coasts. In the city, down to 7 degrees overnight, then a warm top of 20s on the way. It'll be a sunny day with just a slight chance of a shower at night. On Metro Waters, nor'easterly winds up to 15 knots with seas below the metre mark. Looking ahead, and Thursday's our best chance of any wet weather. We're expecting rain at times, maybe even a thunderstorm in the morning. We could see up to 6 millimetres. Clearing for sunshine on Friday, 19's the forecast top. Looking good if you're heading to the footy, and then staying fine over the weekend. Not bad, John.
And some rain up north for the farmers, that'd be great. And some sunshine for us tomorrow, Rosanna.
Sounds pretty good to me. Thank you very much, John. Good evening to you and welcome to the program. First tonight, new car nightmares and what to do if you end up with a dud. After a house, buying a car is probably the most expensive purchase one can make, but some, despite rolling straight off the production